What's up, guys? Tim Little here with TacticalBassin. Today we're going to talk soft body frogs. It is summertime. It's hot out. It's a great time to be throwing traditional hollow body frogs and these guys right here, the soft body frogs. So to start out, what is the difference between a traditional frog and, let's say, a soft body frog? This comes right out of the package. Soft body, long legs. You can do some modifications. If you guys haven't watched our videos on that, I'll put a link up above. But pretty much out of the package, you tie this on, braided line, heavy rod, and have at it. These guys come in a package. It takes some rigging, and that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about today. The rigging, the different styles of baits, the gear to use, what to target, those sort of things. So one of the best benefits of throwing this style of frog, a soft body frog, is going to be covering water and finding fish. You know, a traditional frog, you're making real precise casts, you're throwing into thick, heavy cover, and you're working that bait. What I love about these style of frogs is it's a weedless buzz bait. You rig it up, you tie it on, and you just start covering water. And you're trying to find active schools of fish, more aggressive fish. The great thing about this, like I said, is a weedless buzz bait. And I'm going to get into rigging a little bit farther along in this video, but you can see right here, that is a zoom horny toad, and I tie that straight braid and fire it out there and work it back to the boat and just cover water. So when do you throw a soft body frog versus a whopper plopper or a buzz bait? And again, it gets back to that bait being weedless. I can rig this up, straight braid, heavy rod, 6/0 super line hook, and I can throw this where I can't throw a traditional buzz bait or whopper plopper. Now, getting into these baits, there are all different types, different sounds, different sizes, those sort of things. I'm going to get into a few of my favorite baits that I've gained confidence in along the way. And just like in every video, all this gear, all these baits, everything that I talk about, I'll put down below in the video description. So just like normal frogs, you know, you have a popping frog or a walking frog, smaller frog, bigger frog, just like normal frogs, you have soft body frogs that really shine in different circumstances. So one of my favorite frogs to throw, soft body frogs, is going to be the zoom horny toad. Now this is a very subtle bait. It's got really small feet on it. When you are targeting pressured fish, or you're targeting fish that are feeding on small bait fish, you know, little baits that are coming up and just spitting on the surface, low light conditions where you don't want to be super loud, this is a must-have in your tackle box. You can see these real flat feet. They just have little cuts out of them, and it's a killer. It's not very loud. Like I said, it's super subtle, but it is a great bait. Moving right along into these baits, for you pond fishermen, got a little guy right here. This is the seismic toad. This is a little bit smaller bait. This is actually rigged on a 3/0 owner twist lock, not the beast, it's just the owner twist lock. But this is a great little bait. You can actually throw it on a heavier spinning rod, throw it on a lighter bait caster, but this is a great bait for pond fishing. But this is a seismic toad, real subtle action, real tiny feet, kicks really fast. But you pond fishermen, that's a great bait to check out. Another bait that I think is a must-have in the tackle box is going to be the Damiki air frog. What sets this bait apart, what makes this bait special, is the fact that it has an air chamber inside. It's not actually solid. It has like a plastic air chamber inside, and it floats. So I can throw this out there, reel it back, pause it, let it sit there like a normal frog, and it won't sink. You know, these other baits that I'm talking about, when you rig this with like a 6/0 owner twist lock, as soon as you cast it out there, it's gonna sink. So you gotta move it fairly quickly. One key tip with all of these baits, except for the air frog, when you fire these baits out there, they could either land one of two ways, right? They could land correct, or they could land upside down. And the tip I want to give you guys today is when you fire these things out there, give the bait a second or two to sink and right itself. You know, it's got this heavy superline hook on here, so as it falls, it's going to right itself and correct itself and be hook point up. So when you fire that out there, give it a second or two, let it fall, kind of correct itself in the water, and then start reeling, and it'll come right up to the surface. Another good frog is going to be the Stanley Ribbit Frog. This is another, it's a soft bait. I rig most of these on a 6/0 twist lock. The owner, not the Beast, it's just the twist lock. That's actually the 5/0 right there, but the 6/0 works great for the horny toad. It works for a couple of these other baits I'm gonna share with you, but this ribbit as well. Now you can see right off the bat, you compare this foot versus the horny toad foot, completely different sound. This is a soft bait, puts off a little bit more thump. So if you're fishing for more aggressive fish that have already showed themselves, or fish that are feeding on bigger bait, shad or bluegill, brim beds, those sort of things, you're going to want to step up to a bait that has more kick to it. And this is my middle of the pack bait. This is not too loud, not too subtle, just kind of an all-around good bait. Now getting into my favorite out of all these actually, is going to be the Strike King Rage Toad. This thing is sweet. Let me rig one up for you. Like I said, I use the 6/0. I use the 6/0 hook. It's got the twist lock right on the front. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'll put a close up in the video. It's got that owner centering pin right there. So all you do, you take this and you spin it right into the face of the bait. The straighter the better. And then what I like to do, I'll get it almost to the very top. I will grab the hook and let it hang, and I want that bait to hang perfectly straight with that hook. And then all you do, bring this around, and you're going to Texas rig it. And make sure when you come through the top that you skin hook the top again. Now that bait is weedless, perfectly weedless. Another tip, make sure on these rage toads, all these feet come connected to the bait. So make sure you tear these gently apart from the leg. That way you get the most action out of these baits. Now this bait, you can see that the size of these feet, you can see the angles on them. This causes a lot of commotion. That's why I like to throw this one. It almost sounds like a subtle buzzbait. I mean, it kicks a lot, and the explosions on this are pretty awesome. But this is, like I said, this is the Strike King, the Rage Toad, and this is typically my go-to if I'm fishing middle of the day, if I'm fishing murkier water, something where I need a little bit more sound, I need more drawing power. This is the bait that I'm going to go with. Like I said, that is a must-have. Now to step up from there, Zoom actually has the Rage Shad. They took the same style of body and they put a big tail on it. Again, you're going to rig this on the 6/0 twist lock. You can see this big thumper tail. One big thumper tail. This thing is a lot of commotion, lots of sound, and this also is a killer bait. So now that we've kind of talked about the 4 or 5 of my go-to soft body frogs, let's talk about when to throw what. You know, things you want to take into consideration. You want to take into consideration, are the bass actively feeding? How aggressive are they? The time of day, the water clarity, those sort of things. All those are key players into how I decide which bait to use. Like I said before, if it's early morning, real quiet, real subtle, there's little shad popping or little minnows popping, I will hands down go with the Zoom Horny Toad. If it's middle of the day and I want a commotion, bass are blowing up, they got bait fish schooled up and they're blowing up, I'm going to go with something that's quite a bit louder, and I will go with either the Rage Toad, the Rage Shad, or If I want to be able to pause the bait, I will go with the Damiki Air Frog. So when I'm throwing these, what types of things am I targeting? Just like a buzzbait or a whopper plopper, I'm going to be targeting tule points, shade lines, grass lines. Now where these baits really shine is sparse grass. You know, if I'm fishing a real heavy thick mat or real heavy vegetation, this bait's not gonna shine. It's not gonna get the feet to kick. All it's gonna do is kind of just, you know, kind of shimmy over the top of the grass or the cheese. You're not gonna get that real buzzbait, horny toad, soft body frog sound, right? You need that sparse grass. A little bit of grass, open water, a little bit of grass. That's where these baits shine, where you would typically throw a buzzbait, but you need it weedless. So let's talk rigging. Now rigging, I throw all of these baits on gear like I would throw a frog. I would throw most of these on like a 7.2 to 7.6 medium heavy or heavy rod. You know, you're fishing these things on braid, you're fishing it through grass. So if you hook a big one, a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pounder in that grass, you want to be able to get that fish out. So always throw it on braid. Now I go between 30-pound and 65-pound braid depending on what type of grass and the area I'm fishing. If I'm fishing open water, just little sparse grass mats, grass patches, I will go with like 30-pound braid. These baits are super light and they can be very difficult to cast on a bait caster. If you throw it on the lighter braid, it's a lot easier cast. And getting into rods a little bit later, but you want something with a nice soft tip to be able to throw these things. But if I'm going to be fishing real heavy grass, dock lines, something like that, wood where there's the possibility of getting hung up more, I will stick with the 65-pound braid and a little bit heavier rod. All the reels I throw are going to be burners. I'm going to be throwing a 7.1 or higher. Like I said, the benefit of these is you can cover water. A traditional frog, you're just sitting there, you're walking it, you're pausing it, you're walking it. This, you're just casting and covering, right? Casting, covering water to find those fish. So make sure you have a high-speed reel. One other key thing that I want to talk on real quick, and I'll wrap this video up, is your hook set. These aren't traditional frogs. To save yourself some frustration, to alleviate some aggravation, give yourself about a second delay on the hook set. You know, Matt and I, through trial and error and lots of frustration, when we started getting into the rage toads and the horny toads and the soft body frogs, we missed a lot of fish. You know, a normal frog, you've heard Matt and I preach about it before, when you get bit, you hammer home, right? These guys, if you do that, you will miss 50% of your bites. So I tell people, throw it out there, give yourself a second or two, let that bait ride itself, start covering water, and when you get bit, hesitate just a little bit and then jack them. It lets those fish get that bait completely in their mouth, and when you hit them, you just get a lot better hook set, and they don't come off. You won't miss as many fish as I did when I started. But anyways, guys, I hope that helps. This is a great time to throw soft body frogs. Hopefully that shed a little bit of light on what they are, how to rig them, and to give it a try. You shore fishermen, they're great baits that you can throw in ponds, all those sort of things. Topwater is a great, I mean, it's one of my favorite ways to catch them, right? The big explosions, big bass. But there you have it, guys. Soft body frogs, summertime. Get some in your tackle box. One thing I do want to talk about real quick. I gave you guys about 4 or 5 baits that I've gained confidence in. But if you go online, you go on a tackle warehouse, there's going to be a ton of different baits. So if you guys want to try them, maybe pick some different ones that I didn't recommend. One key tip: look at the feet. You know, on this horny toad, it's flat, real subtle foot, versus something like the air frog. You got the big paddle foot. You will be able to tell just by looking at the feet online, typically, if they're going to be loud or quiet. But check them out, guys. Check them out online. get some hooks, and go out there and have a blast, guys. I hope you guys like the video. Just like every video, all the gear, the reels, the rod, the line, all the stuff that I recommend will be down below in the video description. If you guys have any questions, down below in the comments, leave those questions there, and Matt and I will try to get them. Again, guys, thank you for the support. We're growing faster than we've ever grown. We appreciate all you guys, all the new subscribers. Thank you, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you soon, guys. Have a good one.